Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of fights.
Fight.
Late nights.
Fight.
The UFC must be back at the Apex. Yes. UFC Vegas 75 kicking off in a little over 30 minutes time. Main event. There they are. Middleweights doing middleweighty things. Marvin Vettori versus Cannonier. It's about to go down, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us for the People's Pre-Fight Show. Getting you ready for UFC Vegas 75. I am Mike Heck. Joining me on the ones and twos, the baddest dash in MMA, but also the best chair swinger in MMA. There he is, Casey Leydon. I mean, yes, swinging the chair like that, not like Balls Mahoney and ECW swinging the chair.
No.
Yes. How you doing, sir?
John Jones. John Jones making his PFL debut. I love it.
Oh man. So we're just gonna answer questions because we had Bellator 297 last night. We had a PFL card last night, and we have a UFC card tonight. So we could talk about either of those things or whatever else is on your mind. Yeah. So let's go. We're gonna go until the first fight starts, which is Zach Pauga versus Modestas Bukauskas.
Hold on. There we go.
Francis Ngannou versus John Jones. When is it happening? Never.
It was cute.
It's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate, yeah.
So I asked this question on Twitter, and people were like, "You're joking, right?" And this is the exact reason why I asked this question. I said, what card is going to have more post-fight buzz or post-event buzz? Bellator's card or PFL's card? And people thought I was nuts for even asking that question because Bellator had such a good card. But this is the reason why I asked the question. Are people going to be talking about the Bellator card on this show, or are they going to be talking about what happened at the end of this card? And the numbers don't lie, my friends. It seems as if people are talking about the face-off between Francis Ngannou and John Jones more than anything else that happened inside the cage during the PFL fights, and certainly what happened in the cage during the Bellator fights, which is unfortunate, and it shouldn't be that way, but that's the way that it is. When is it happening, Casey?
I'm sure a couple the suits from the UFC and the suits from the PFL are gonna get together, and they're gonna go, you know what? Let's do this for the fans. The fans want this, So they're gonna put their egos aside and they go, we're gonna have a co-promotion with John Jones and Francis Ngannou, and end of the year, yeah, sure, yeah, they'll do it. It'll happen for sure, yeah.
I sense the sarcasm in your voice.
It was cute.
They could do this. Like, this could happen. The UFC could just call, like, they could call Don Davis on the phone and be like, let's just do it. Like, screw it. Let's do it. Connor, like, if they can't get Connor and Chandler going or something huge, they could do it, but they're not going to. Like, the UFC is not going to do this. They're not going to co-promote with PFL just to make this fight happen. They're not going to give PFL what they're going to. See, here's the thing about PFL. They are not realistic about who they are. Like, Don Davis is not realistic at all. This dude thinks that PFL is like the best promotion in the history of combat sports, when it's just not true. Like, he's just so naive. And I respect the fact that he's trying to promote, but just the way he promotes, it just like makes him look so foolish. You're not the UFC. Like, you are so far away from the UFC. It's not even funny. The UFC barely knows who you are. Like, they know they're on the same network. They know Francis Ngannou signed with the company. And that's really it. That's like all they know. So no, this fight's not happening. It could happen. The UFC wanted to have some fun, but they're not going to, they don't need to do this for the PFL. They don't need to. And they're certainly not going to do Francis Ngannou any favors.
Yeah. I'm trying to, nothing in the history of the UFC's business would ever imply that they would do this. I don't know. Who benefits from this? Who benefits from this face-off? If there is
PFL.
is there PFL? I guess. I mean, is Francis, is John?
It happened at their event, so yeah, there's more focus on them. The only way this fight could ever happen, the only way that Dana White would be like, you know what, F it, let's go. Like, this would be a pretty cool thing. Like, the numbers, everything matches up, is if there is an actual PFL heavyweight title. Like, if there's an actual PFL heavyweight title, this wasn't a season format. They actually crowned Francis. Like, Francis went out and earned an actual promotional heavyweight title. And they had a fight title for title. If the UFC could be put in a position where John Jones could enter a UFC octagon with another promotion's heavyweight title, I think they would do that. But this doesn't benefit the UFC really at all, because what if Francis beats John Jones? There's no way that they're not going to put this fight together without the UFC heavyweight title on the line.
Let me ask you this, because you asked the what if question. What if Francis beats John Jones? Okay, what if Francis beats John Jones? Then what? UFC is still the UFC. That's what I'm trying to. That's what I'm trying to get at, because the UFC is so far ahead. Like, okay, they book John Jones versus Francis Ngannou, UFC, blah blah blah, / PFL. Francis Ngannou wins. UFC is still the UFC. It's not like everyone's going, well, I guess we're watching PFL now. That's it. No more UFC. That's what I'm trying to. I don't know, trying to get in my head. Like, you know what I'm trying to say here? Like, what?
Right.
What's the
but
loss
if
the UFC
if they do a title fight, like if John Jones is like, I'm only doing this if I defend the heavyweight title. Like, I want this to be a heavyweight title fight. If Francis wins and brings the UFC heavyweight title to the PFL and like just shows that thing off like it's his best friend, like, that's a bad look. Like, that's a bad look. It's like, the UFC is still going to make way more money, and they're going to be way more ahead, and they're going to be way more popular. But the aesthetics of it all just looks bad. You know what I mean? Like, oh, the PFL dude just went in and beat the greatest fighter of all time, and now the PFL fighter has the UFC's title. You know what I mean? Like, that's how the UFC is looking at this. They only see
the most negative thing that could happen. I feel
100%.
Okay,
because they could do this. Like, if they were just fun, they could do it.
Yeah,
but they're not, and they don't need to be. I'm not saying this is not a knock on the UFC. This is not a knock on Dana or anybody else. They don't have to do this. Like, PFL can come begging. They could tag him on social media. They could do whatever they want. But Dana's just laughing at them. Like, he is just laughing in their faces right now. So it's not going to happen. It's unfortunate, but it's not going to happen.
I was trying to be positive. I was trying to be a little AK Lee here.
I know.
I never wear fighter shirts, and here I am wearing a fighter shirt.
I know. We don't even know who John's fighting at all. Like, we have nothing on the Stipe fight.
Like, John's like,
he might not fight anybody.
Who fights first, John Jones or Francis Ngannou?
You want to be positive?
Boxing or MMA? I don't even care. Who gets in the cage? Who gets into a cage or ring first?
I'll say John Jones.
Okay.
I'm not very confident in that answer, but I'll say John Jones.
All right. Fun. All right. I'm sure this is the last time we're ever going to talk about this. This is it, right?
Sure. Jeez Louise. We just spent 9 minutes on this.
A fantasy fight that we know is not going to happen.
That happened at a PFL event.
PFL event. After all the fights were done, right? It was after the main event, correct? It was after more screen lost. Yeah. And this little face-off is going to be bigger news than the 20 fights that are about to happen in the Apex in a few minutes.
Yes. I will say, I didn't think the UFC would be in the running of having, with this Bellator card on paper, I thought Bellator would probably have the more exciting card. Like, maybe the storylines, what we're talking about, might not necessarily come from Bellator. But I felt like, all right, if there's one card we could watch back of the three, it's probably going to be the Bellator card. I'm not really feeling that. I feel like the UFC can actually win this battle.
Okay, I see what you're saying. As far as just entertainment value for the fights. Maybe.
Sergio Pettis looked incredible. Like, that dude looked great last night, and he deserves all the credit.
Well, yeah.
That fight was fun, but Pettis just looked incredible.
Blew me away.
But that Daniel James fight was atrocious. And then how do you follow up one of the most atrocious fights in the history of your company? You give us Phil Davis and Corey Anderson. It was a decent fight. It was a decent fight.
It was a decent fight. It was a high level. It was a high level grappling MMA match, but I get it. It wasn't entertaining. Yeah.
Outside of Corey Anderson, his team, and whoever Corey fights next in their team, is anybody ever going to go back and watch that fight again?
No. Well, that's
no.
every Phil. I mean, that's Phil Davis.
Sergio was great, and then the main event was just classic Yoel Romero. But Vadim looked good, but it's again, just not a fight we're gonna go back and watch again. Like that fight went exactly the way we thought it was gonna go. Yeah. It's tough, man. It's so tough.
It's tough. Yeah.
I want Bellator to succeed so badly. Like putting Daniel James on that main card to kick it off was such a terrible idea. Yeah. Like you had Archie Colgan, Emmanuel Sanchez. That would have been a great fight to start the main card. You had No Jr., who I'm so high on. Can you imagine if that main card started with Noveni knocking that dude dead? Like, that would have been a terrific start to the main card. And then we didn't get it because we got the most heavyweight. Oh, Bellator, I want you to do so well. I really do. All right. Let's move on.
All right. I got more PFL Bellator questions, but I want to bring one question about tonight first. I'm trying to find a question about actually it's about.
We can go PFL Bellator until we get one.
All right, let's do it then. All right, here we go. I'm sure you've been asked this plenty of times on Heck.
How massive would it be for PFL if they bought Bellator? What do you think about this? It would be cool, right? But what do you like? What do you think the reaction would be? Like, what kind of dent would it actually put? Like, how long would we be actually talking about this?
There's so many unknowns, though. At this buyout is the PFL buying Bellator? So is Bellator gone and everything's PFL, or is Bellator is PFL going into Bellator and we're having more? You know what I mean? Like, how do we deal with this smart cage? You know, it's like, I'm not. I don't really have any thoughts on it because I don't know what it really means. Because as a fan, I like PFL being around. I love competition. Competition is great for the industry. It's great for fighters. Great for fans. But also as a fan, I actually just don't like PFL's product. Their actual product. The fighters, very good fighters. I'm not trying to discount any of their fighters. It's not about that. I just don't like their presentation. That's me. That is my opinion. So when I think about this PFL buying Bellator, what is taking over more? Is Bellator going to look more like PFL, or is PFL going to look more like Bellator? I don't know. So until that happens, I don't really have an opinion. But overall, I think still good for fans and good for the sport if they do combine to have like I don't want to say a true number two, but a more true number two as far as American MMA.
Yeah, I mean, if they did this, they would be number two. They're still nowhere near the UFC. The UFC will not even acknowledge their existence.
Yeah, they're not. It's not WWE, AEW. They're not like AEW big yet.
No, not even close.
No, not even close. I mean, that's what I'm trying to. That's the only kind of comparison I can think of right now.
That's it, but that's actually a pretty good comparison because, like, look, AEW has a group of fans, but WWE has way more fans, and they do way bigger business than AEW does. It's not even close. Their product is more accepted by wrestling fans. There is a hardcore fan base for AEW. They have Ring of Honor. So maybe, like, is it going to be like AEW Ring of Honor? Like PFL Bellator? Is that how they would handle it? I'm not really sure. But I don't know. Like, the UFC would just be like, okay, cool. And that's it. They would not worry about this at all. This would not be like WCW in 1996. This would not rattle their cages whatsoever. I don't know how it would work. Seems PFL is like back in the mix because they were sort of in the mix early on. Couple of suitors came forward with some interesting offers, and apparently PFL is back in the mix. I don't know. Where's PFL getting this money? That's the big question. Like, I know they have investors and everything, but you just you just hammered everything out of the account to get Francis on your roster. I don't know, man. Like, you have between the two promotions, if you combine, like, Bellator's roster is so much better than PFL's.
Yes.
But PFL has
ESPN?
probably the bigger stars, and they have ESPN. They got Francis.
Who are the biggest stars? What they have Francis, but is he actual PFL fighter yet? I know what you mean.
Technically.
Yeah. I mean,
His presence.
Just the presence, yeah.
His presence is enough. Like, the attention, all the attention on that card last night was because Francis was there and because maybe John was going to be there too, because Maurice Green was fighting in the main event. Bellator has the way better roster, but they don't have any like stars. You know what I mean? Like, they have potential stars. They have fighters with very good upside, but they don't have really any stars. Like, I don't know. And that's the big issue. They have the fighters can be great and the fights can be great, and there is an audience for that. But the UFC has stars, and these other two promotions do not. And that's the big thing. Like, no one's going to spend $85 to watch a PFL Bellator pay-per-view. But at least 300,000, like 200 to 5, 6, 7, depending on who's on the card, are going to spend $85 every single month, sometimes twice a month, to watch a UFC pay-per-view. I don't know. I think it would be cool, but I think we would talk about it and react to it for like 2 weeks, and then we'd just be like, okay, there it is.
Well, that's what I get. That's why I don't have too much to say, because I don't know what this new product is going to be. Is Bellator going to become PFL? Is PFL going to become Bellator? What network is it still going to be Showtime? Is it going to be Showtime and ESPN? Is it going to be just ESPN? There's a lot of things we just don't know. But it's interesting. It's fun to talk about, and someone will be buying Bellator. There will be a change of ownership soon-ish.
They need it, man. They need a fresh coat of paint, bad.
Yeah, I do miss the when Strikeforce was at its heyday, and I won't say it was the true number 2, but Strikeforce had a following. You know, there were stars, and I don't. We can talk a lot about why that hasn't been recreated again, because it's Coker and Showtime still, but something's different. I think it really is the UFC is just oversaturating the market with fights. I mean, I think that's
a big part of it.
It's really taken over, but yeah, but I think that's another long conversation to have.
Yeah. How was the father-son golf scramble? It was fun, man. It was hot. Like, it was hot. Maybe that's why I'm a little grumpy.
Summer's back now, yeah.
Oh, it was like 95. It was 95 degrees out there. And yeah, we teamed up with another father-son duo. Shot 3 under. So I was happy with that. My kid contributed. I contributed. We had a par 5. Me and one of the other guys hit really good drives. We were like neck and neck. And we were like 190 away in our second shot. And I hit a 6-iron to like 10 feet. We had an eagle putt. Of course, we all missed it because that was like how the whole friggin' day went. But tapped in for birdie. We had a good time. It was just really hot. Yeah, it was good stuff.
All right. What is this scramble? Sorry, I'm not familiar.
So it's four people. We all get up on the tee box. We all hit, and whoever has the best shot, all 4 people go up to the best shot, and you all hit it again. And you just keep doing that until the ball goes in the hole.
Okay, fun.
Yeah,
makes it more fun. I gotcha.
Oh yeah.
Did you watch PFL last night? Did you actually watch the fights?
No, I saw clips. No. I didn't like. I watched. No.
I was gonna. Well, that's too big. Hold on. Sorry about that.
I saw this. This I did see.
Okay.
Did you guys also find it funny that the crochet boss thought he won the fight last night? Completely delusional. His team was telling him the same. Yeah, this was pretty funny because like they were the only people on planet Earth who thought Maurice Green won that fight against Antic Elijah. It was funny.
Yeah, the only thing I saw from the fight was because of I can't keep up PFL, but because of the point system, the guy, once the fight went to the second round, he was eliminated from the playoffs. Is that right?
Yeah,
Like,
like
did he make?
there.
He didn't make the.
Yeah,
He
there
didn't make the
was.
playoffs, and he won the fight.
Yeah, dude, Elena Kolesnik, who beat Aspen Ladd, won last night and was 2-0 in the regular season. Aspen Ladd, who lost to Elena Kolesnik, got a second round submission like just before the buzzer and would have made the playoffs against the woman who beat her and went undefeated in the regular season. And then neither of them made the playoffs. So it didn't really matter. But it's just, they got to clean that up. They got to clean. Like, I know Elena missed weight, so I think she lost a point and didn't get the full 3 for beating Aspen Ladd. But they got to do something about this. Like 1-1, someone who goes 1-1 or like should not be getting into the postseason over someone who goes 2-0. It's nuts. Finishes should be a tiebreaker, not the end all be all.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was joking because I know how the way the point system is so heavily influenced by finishes, and when the finish happens in the fight, I was like, wow, GSP would never win a season.
Yeah.
Like someone like who he could dominate 3 rounds, but he's not. He's just GSP. He's a goat, and yet the way the PFL structure is, it won't work for him.
The only thing I saw last night was I watched the Larissa Pacheco fight, and that only lasted like 12 seconds. Yeah. So,
well, what a great performance with Larissa Pacheco. Amber Leibach is a decent featherweight, and she just rolled through her. Larissa Pacheco is legit. I think that fight last night proved that the Kayla Harrison victory wasn't a fluke. Because if that was Kayla Harrison that did that to Leibach, we would be like, oh my God, Kayla Harrison, she's back. Oh man. But no, Larissa Pacheco, she is a legit 145er. Unfortunately, 145 is in a road division, but she is very legit. And as soon as I saw that fight happen, I got slightly more bummed by the Amanda Nunes retirement. I was like, it's a fight I would love to see, but that's how it is.
Zach, you always say PFL is the worst pacing. 4 fights in 3 hours for the Bellator main card last night. That's the tough part about having 2 title fights, is that you got 2 fights that go the 25. You knew Corey Anderson, Phil Davis is going the full 15, and I think they kind of expected Daniel James to go out there and just get a quick knockout and get that big pop from the fans. But Gokhan Saracom is not entertaining as that fight actually was. That was the right game plan. Like, he did what he had to do to win the fight. Yeah, man, the pacing was tough. I felt like they went back to the desk a little too much. They've been like
for Bellator,
sort of. Yeah, I feel like they've been cutting that back a little bit, but they went the promo, like the video package for the Pettis Pitbull fight. It was like the longest video package for before a fight I've ever seen. It took forever. It was like 6 minutes. That's way too long. Way too long. Did you? I didn't think the pacing was horrendous though.
I didn't have an issue with the Bellator pacing last night. The fights went long because that's how fights go sometimes. It's just it is what it is. But as far as like in time in between fights, I mean, honestly, I didn't have an issue. Maybe it's because they're not going to commercial break, and so I'm not seeing just random commercials for some prescription pill or anything. Like we go to PFL, you feel like you're watching the same 3 commercials over and over and over again. At least with the packages, I don't know. I did not have an issue with it last night. Yeah, you because we are in the bubble. We know the storylines coming into it, so like the video packages maybe don't do the same for us as it does the casual fan. But I didn't have an issue with Bellator's pacing last night. I enjoyed their UFC style walkouts last night though.
Bellator I love that. That was great.
And they'll be dazzled. They had the low LED lights, when they kind of walk out in the tunnel. So it wasn't just straight coming out of the tunnel. So I thought it was fine. I thought I didn't miss it. I didn't miss the big stage. Maybe for the Rising cars that'd be cool, but for I think these Bellator cars, I think this is the way to go.
15 fights is too many for a Bellator card. It's way too many fights. Because the prelims, they're like, it's because there was a lot of the things on the prelims I was looking forward to. Like I was looking forward to watch a Jordan Newman fight. I was looking forward to watching Archie Colgan fight. No Jr. Like everybody at this point knows how high I am on him. Ramazan Kuramagomedov. Like incredible performance. The Rabadonov Peter Bost fight was interesting, but then you still had like 30 some. I think there was an extra 30 minutes after the Rabadonov fight. You could have easily squeezed in one more. And instead we had 5 post limbs, and like some of these fighters were supposed to fight right away. Yeah, they were supposed to fight like right off the bat.
These aren't like just local guys who are just there to sell tickets. These are actually Bellator fighters, who are moving up the ranks.
50 is too many, man. It's too many fights.
I think this needs to be talked about. This might be one of the biggest issues of Bellator, is their complete disdain, whatever, for the prelims, for the prelim fighters. If you like Scott, you're talking at a press conference where fights are going on outside, out in the arena, and like, I know you can't wait for all the fights to get done, otherwise the press conference won't start till 2 hours later. But you can't. I don't know. These are your fighters. You got. I don't know. There needs to be shown a little bit more respect to these fighters on these prelim fights. And because, like I said, these aren't like one-off contracts. They're just so local tickets. They used to do that a lot. Maybe 1 or 2 of those fights were, but for most part, most of those prelims were actually Bellator fighters who, with a good win, you will see them on a main card. Their next time they fight, and the way they just kind of throw them away, like who cares on the prelims? I don't know. That's just bad. And it's hard for fans. It's hard for me to even keep up with the kind of the storylines of Bellator, because I have to watch the press conference. I'm not watching these prelims because Bellator doesn't seem to care about these prelims. So why, as a fan, should I watch them? And that's one of the things I've loved about UFC is when that first fight of the night comes out for this card or any other Apex card, the production, the everything, the lighting, everything looks like it should be in the main card. And maybe the fanfare, well, there's no fanfare in Apex, but you get what I mean. But like, at least the production and the energy that goes into it feels like this fight is as important as, a main card fight. And I think that's a big issue with Bellator. I don't know why they do it, and they should stop it.
It's just too many fights, man. But on Monday, before this event started, there was 18 fights on this card. Can you imagine if like Austin Vanderford's fight didn't fall off, or Leandro Ego, Nikita Mikhailov didn't fall off, Max Metzger, David McKinney, if that fight didn't fall off, we would have had, 8 post-limbs? We would have 8 post-limb fights last night. That's insane. You can't do that. You can't do that. You got to make these this is why, I suggested on other shows, don't put Daniel James in the first fight. Take one of these prospects, Newman, Colgan, Novenyi, one of them. Put them in that spot. Because one of 2 things was going to happen. Colgan Sanchez were going to put on a fun-ass fight, and they did. Or Norbert Novenyi Jr. or Jordan Newman are going to go out there and get a squash finish in the first round. And then you start the card off right, and you can at least build something. You could give them a post-fight interview. You could see them walk out. We can learn more about them. Norbert Novenyi Jr. is could be a star. This guy's got the fighting style. He's a finisher. Dude's good everywhere. And can talk shit. In a fun, compelling, not annoying way. This guy could be a star, but he's buried on the prelims. He's the 4th fight of the card, got a 46-second knockout, no walkout, no post-fight interview, and that's it. And he was gone. And that was it. It's craziness.
Yeah.
How are you going to build stars?
Exactly. Even if I only watch the main card, that's the thing. I really wonder about this. So, of the percentage of people who watch the UFC card tonight, I'm making up a number, but would you say 75% of the people who watch the main card are also watching most of the prelims? Or what do you think? 50%?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, I'm just going 75%. I would say Bellator. I would say if you're watching the main card, maybe 20%, 10% are actually watching the prelims. If I wasn't working, I don't think I would be watching Bellator prelims. I was only watching the main card.
If Colgan, Novenyi, and Newman weren't on it, I would not have watched the prelims at all. What did Bellator's prelims
And I'm
do?
watching those
they
because
did 100.
You told me about them.
Yeah, they did 114,000 views for the Bellator prelims.
I don't know.
Seems, I don't know. Like, do you think more than 114,000 people watched the main card?
Oh yeah. Well, it's the paywall and everything because for Showtime paywall and everything, so it's hard to know. But I guess of those people who watch the main card, how many are watching the prelims? That's what I'm trying to get at. Versus like a UFC fight night main card, how many people are kind of watching the prelims also? I would say a lot more UFC than.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because it
That's
seems
what I'm
like
trying.
one card.
That seems like one card. That's what I'm trying to get at, and that's what UFC does really well. Is that first fight? It still feels like a UFC fight. This is still important. It's early in the card, but it's still a UFC fight. But these early Bellator fights, they just feel like they're fights, even though they're not. Even though they are Bellator fights, we're like, it's just a throwaway prelim. These are just local guys. They put on the card for filler. And it shouldn't be that way. If you want to be a true number two, a true competitor, a true worldwide leader in mixed martial arts, you can't have trash prelims, or at least the impression that these prelims don't mean anything, and we just throw them on the postlims. That's what it feels like, and it's a bummer.
Yeah, and it's like I said, I really want them to do well. We just got to promote better. So many. My little brother, who's like getting more in MMA, texted me at like, no, it was my cousin. My cousin Greg, 6:30 last night. He goes, "Oh, Patricia Pitbull's fighting for the bantamweight title tonight." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, I just found out like 10 minutes ago." Like, that's a problem. That's a problem.
Yeah.
And yes, PFL's pacing is still awful. It was really bad last night, from what I understand. Could the UFC buy both? I mean, that'd be the funniest of funny. I don't think they can, though.
I think there might be some legal issues to do that. It's a monopoly or antitrust issues, but they could. They could.
But they could right now. They could right now. Dana could open his wallet and buy both companies.
Yeah, they bought Pride. They bought Strikeforce. They could buy Bellator. They could buy PFL. They could if they wanted to. They could.
Absolutely.
I think there might be. And I would tell you right now, Mr. Johnny Diamond, if they did, while that's cool and we have everyone under one roof, that would suck for fighters. I know it sounds fun to everyone be a UFC fighter, but it would not be fun.
Yeah.
But they could. We got it. Let's talk about tonight's card. Hold on.
Hey, we got a UFC question?
Yeah.
The broadcast just started the show. Who has the most to lose on this card?
Arman Tsarukyan.
It's got to be him, right?
Yeah, just because he's such a favorite, and right now he's people. We still say his name as if he will fight for a title at some point in his future, or at least fight for a number one contendership type of a fight at 155, which is still an incredible feat to be even a number one contender at 155 because of the logjam that seems to always be at the top. But Tsarukyan's taking a very dangerous fight tonight, and dangerous in the sense that Joaquim Silva is a good fighter, a professional fighter, and any professional fighter can knock you out. So that's why this is a dangerous fight.
I would also say
a lot to lose, and he has almost nothing to win tonight, other than a cool highlight if he gets it. But very little win tonight. Like if he wins a 3-round decision, we might even bump him back in the rankings. Like this is that type of fight.
Yeah. Other than that, maybe Jimmy Flick.
Going 0-2 in his comeback.
Yeah, could be it too. I think he was telling people that it's the last fight on his deal, so which is weird because this will be his third UFC fight. So I don't know, but I'd say he's probably number 2. I mean, this is going to be a fun watch. Like this is going to be an entertaining card, but there are very little like high level stakes on the card. Like even the main event, the winner gets really not much, and if whoever loses doesn't fall back all that much. So
yeah, and outside of just a ferocious knockout, I think our opinions of both gentlemen, no matter what happens tonight, will kind of be the same.
Yeah.
Not saying it's gonna be a bad fight. It's just in the bigger scheme of things in terms of middleweight rankings.
Yeah. We
Yeah,
got Felder, Cruz, and Brandon Fitzgerald tonight.
Let's actually talk about the actual fights a little bit real quick.
Thoughts on dominant performances by both the Bellator's champions last night, Pettis and Nemkov. Nemkov did what I thought he was going to do. Yoel had his moments. Third round Yoel reared his ugly head like he typically does. But, yeah, Vadim looked good. Scott Coker did what a promoter is supposed to do. Went to the press conference and said, look, we have the best 205er in the world. That includes the UFC. And guess what? They have a case. They have a case.
I agree.
He ain't number one for me. He's right there, but they have a case. Sergio Pettis. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, but even though you may not think he's number one, but if you put Nemkov in the cage of Yair, you put him in the cage of Jamal Hill, it will be a heck of a competitive fight, right?
Oh, yeah. I would pick Nemkov to beat a lot of 205ers in the UFC.
Yeah,
right,
and I think that's all that really matters. As long as you can put their champion with their UFC's champion, and you go, you know what? I'm not going to pick him, but it's going to be a heck of a competitive fight. I think that's all you really want. That's all you can really guarantee. And I think that's all that matters. So, yeah, Nemkov's awesome.
And Pettis, man, that guy,
he's
not Aljamain. He's not Aljamain Sterling. But to me, he's it's a different comparison. I'm talking about like skill set and how fans appreciate the skills. Sergio Pettis is the Aljamain Sterling of Bellator. Like Bellator, like Aljo doesn't get the credit he deserves in a lot of respects. Obviously, Pettis's run is much less weird than Aljamain's, but Pettis just doesn't get enough credit. This dude was an afterthought the whole build. This was the Patricio Pitbull show. It's just will Patricio go the full 25 before he makes history, or will he finish Sergio Pettis to make history? And Sergio just ignored all of it, went in there and just beat the hell out of Patricio Pitbull last night. The first round was fun and close, but then Pettis just ran away with it. Like, this was outstanding. This dude's getting better and better. And Casey, him and Patchy Mix is going to rule.
In my mind, I was like, oh my God, Patchy Mix versus Pitbull is going to be insane. But then the way Pettis performed, right? Were you kind of already thinking that? Yeah, that's what I mean. The way Pettis performed last night and his takedown defense and just Pettis' scrambles and just how sharp he was on his feet. He just didn't make mistakes for 25 minutes against a killer in front of him, a guy that can knock you out with one shot. Man, I'm still picking Mix, but that fight got a lot more competitive. Now I'm like, yeah, Sergio Pettis is legit one of the top. Like, I know we have to see the Mix fights. I think everyone on our staff is very high on Mix, and we're like, well, Pettis, clearly he's good, but like, I think we're still kind of afraid to make that leap and go, oh, he's the guy. But man, he performed last night like he was the guy. It was awesome. I was shocked in a very good way. I was like, man, because it was one of those fights where Pitbull didn't look bad at all. Just Pettis looked great. One of those. Pitbull looked fine. He just once Pettis was shutting down once Pettis was shutting down Pitbull's wrestling against that cage and just flipping him over and turning him to the cage, I was like, oh my God, Pitbull's done. If he can't wrestle Pettis and just has to deal with just to stand up alone without the wrestling, he was done, and he was. And but credit to Pitbull, he went for it. He freaking went for it, and no shame in losing from Pitbull. No shame.
Everything about Sergio Pettis last night screamed champion to me. Even the walkout, like when he walked out,
those gold shorts.
Saw the gold shorts.
Yeah,
I was like, all right, Sergio, go get it, man. Like that, I was like, all right, like this is cool.
I thought the same thing.
Boy, he performed like the shorts looked. It was shiny gold, man. Outstanding performance. I'm very impressed with him. Super underappreciated, under the radar, and I think out of all the stocks of this weekend, it's going to be tough to top Sergio Pettis this weekend in terms of like whose stock rose the most.
Great, yeah, just great performance. What do you do with Romero?
Gegard Mousasi, 205.
Yeah,
Go
just fun fight.
do it. Yeah, just a fun fight. It can
Fun
be a
fight.
main event. That's a main event fight for Bellator. Just let those two go in there and like beat the hell out of each other. Like Gegard probably has like a fight or two left.
Yeah.
That was like the first thing people thought of when they brought Yoel in. Oh, we're gonna get Yoel versus Gegard Mousasi. Like that's a fight. Just go ahead and do it. It doesn't have to be at 85. Do it 205. Let's have some fun.
Yeah.
That's a fight.
It was funny. Two Strikeforce guys fighting again in Bellator.
Yes, let's go. I love that idea. Do it at Mohegan. Go back to Mohegan. Do it there.
That's a good one. I know Romero being 46 and he got his butt kicked last night, but he also was fighting Nemkov. So it's really I don't have a true gauge on what's left of Romero other than god dang, he is still tough. He is still freaking tough. And
so
him doing
durable.
his drunken like so entertaining. So entertaining. I was like, oh.
I still love him so much.
I know, me too. Even though his fights are horrible, sometimes you still love him. It's quite a feat he's done. When you were watching, I was getting super stressed out for Nemkov in the sense that you were beating the crap out of this man, but at any moment he can just throw some crazy flying knee or some crazy overhand, and your night's over. And you just lost the championship, and you just lost one of the biggest comeback. You're on the wrong end of one of the biggest comebacks ever. That must be incredibly just nerve-wracking for Nemkov in the sense that even though I felt like by the end he was punching Romero so many times, like by that fifth round he was exhausted. That's why kind of Romero won that fifth round, just because Nemkov has basically punched himself out. I don't know, how did you feel kind of the stress levels of that fight, or were you no way Romero actually comes back?
So I watched rounds 4 and 5 this morning because after the third round and Yoel didn't get him out of there, I was like, all right, Nemkov wins by decision. So I can watch the rest tomorrow, and if I missed it, then I missed it. So that's how I felt. Yoel Romero is like Jason Voorhees throughout like his entire run on the Friday the 13th series, where like 2, he's like 3, 4, 5. And then once you get to like 6, 7, and 8, like, what's going to happen. Like, Jason's going to come out and just kill a bunch of kids and like, it's just going to be wild. And we're going to see a machete. Like, we know what's coming, but we're still on the edge of our seats. Like, we know the movie isn't going to be great. Like, it's not going to be an Academy Award, but we're still on the edge of our seats. Like, something cool is going to happen at some point, and maybe it ends the fight. Maybe it ends up being a moment, and then maybe not.Maybe you just sit at the edge of your seat and we don't get the big kill at the end. But Yoel just evokes emotion when he fights, like no other. And you're always like, man, like it happened to me again. But then the next time he fights, you're gonna feel the same way. You're just gonna wait for that big moment to happen.
When the fight started and Nemkov are staring across the cage, staring at Romero, I'm like, I know Nemkov's gonna win this, but that's still freaking Romero. That guy looks so freaking scary. Like, just looking at him, he's like, whoa, whoa. His barking he does. Like, I love that new gimmick of him and his wolf bark and everything.
It would just be like, and we're also in the back of our minds like, what if Yoel actually wins this fight?
Yeah, what
if he goes out there and just what if he knocks out Vadim Nemkov and 46-year-old Yoel Romero is the Bellator light heavyweight champion? Like, so wild to even think about. That's insane.
That's the magic of Yoel Romero. He still sparks that imagination in us. Like, wow, could he do it? Could he do it? And credit to him. I don't know how he does it. I don't know if it's just those traps he has. Just makes us forget everything.
It's so crazy, man. Like, that dude's just he's not a human being. He's not a human being. Shout out to his management team. They created this like unsolved mysteries video about Yoel Romero they made like a fake unsolved mysteries video and the category was, is Yoel Romero a human being? And they had somebody like voice Robert Stack's voice.
Yeah.
And it was spot on. I was
I missed that. I missed that.
You got to go find it. It's only like 3 minutes long. It's so good. It's so good. Do we have any more questions? Or first, we're getting the graphics for the first fight. So
let me see. More question.
What's the next PFL card look like? Is this the Burgos OAM? This is the lightweight card, I think. Friday, June 23rd. OAM, Anthony Romero. Interesting fight. Sada Busai, Shane Mitchell, Shane Burgos, Yamato Nishikawa. All right, so we got Clay Collard, Stevie Ray, Magomed Karamov, David Sawada. We got some known names on this card. Natan Schultz versus Hausch Monfio. Yeah, this is a better card. Like, I'll watch that. I'll probably watch this one. But if we don't have any more questions, we can go through our bonuses and fight picks and go from there.
I think we're good. Let's go over bonuses.
All right, who's going to win bonuses tonight?
Oh, man. I'm going to go Modestas Bukakas in the opening fight. Big comeback for him. I'm also going to go with... Man, I'm being positive. I'm gonna go Jimmy Flick too. He's gonna get a second bonus. And fight of the night will be. I'm gonna go Sabatini Almeida.
It's a good choice. It's a good choice. Like, Sarukian is gonna kill Neto BJJ tonight.
Only because
he's gonna finish
favorite. Yeah, he's such a favorite. Sometimes I don't think they give out bonuses to guys who are that big favorites. So,
but if it's a nasty knockout, I could see it. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go with Torres and Christian Leroy Duncan as bonus winners. And mostly because I don't want that fight to go to the distance. We don't need an Armin Petrosian 15-minute fight on this one. So come on, CLD. This might get some comments. Fight of the night. And then maybe I'm just putting out good juju, Casey. Marvin Vettori versus Jared Cannonier. I think these two dudes are gonna have some fun. I don't think this is gonna be a middleweight fight. This is gonna be Eric Anders, Marc-Andre Barriel-esque.
I hope
That's
so.
what I think.
I hope so. I felt like I was jinxed if I would have said. As far as Marvin Vettori, has he had a fight of the night? Am I forgetting?
The Costa fight? Oh, it would have been if did that had to have gotten fight of the night. I mean, I don't know if they didn't give Costa one because of the weight miss and all the shenanigans that week. But that fight was awesome.
Oh yeah, that was the 205 fight. Yeah, okay.
They gave him performance of the night. They got bonuses. Maybe they each got a bonus. I don't know. Huh. But yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, I'll go with that. I think it's gonna be not that good, but good-ish.
I enjoy that positivity. I need it.
I'm trying. I'm trying. All right, main card. Muslim Salikov. Let me just pull up the card here. Muslim Salikov, Nicholas Dalby. Who do you got?
I am a big Nicholas Dalby fan. I just like him as a person. Honestly, he's just a good dude. So I'm gonna go and pick him by decision. No real logic to it. I'm just going. I like the guy.
I'm going Salikov decision. Nicholas Mota, Manuel Torres. I'm going Manuel Torres. Second round KO/TKO.
Oh, I'm going Nicholas Mota with a unanimous decision.
All right. Lucas Almeida versus Pat Sabatini.
In a great fight, I'm picking Almeida by KO in round 3.
I'm going Almeida KO round 1.
Ooh.
I don't think this fight's getting out of the first round, but I'm taking a dog shot here with money I'm not actually betting. I'm going Christian Leroy Duncan with a third round. A great performance, but he gets Petrosian, a game, gritty, durable Petrosian out of there in the third.
That game, gritty Petrosian will finish Christian Leroy Duncan by knockout in round 3.
Wow. I
think
love
we've
that
gone back. I
pick.
think we've gone opposite so far in every fight. I don't know. Yeah.
All right.
Not gonna go.
How's Joaquin Silva going to win then, Casey?
Oh, Joaquin Silva, heel hook, first round. Yeah. I'm picking Sarukian KO round 1.
I'm going round 2. Almost near 10-8 in round 1. Then he gets him out of there in round 2.
All right.
So let me guess. You're picking Jared Cannonier, aren't you?
I am. Yeah. Cannonier decision. Did we go pretty
Marvin
much?
Vettori decision. Yes, I'm going Marvin Vettori decision.
There we go. Awesome.
All right, hit the music.
Awesome.
We are on
before we finish, shout out to my coaches, my jiu-jitsu coaches, Jonathan Powell and Shane Collins, for their 2 big victories last night in the Fight to Win jiu-jitsu tournament in downtown LA. So you guys are awesome, and man, I should listen to you guys more, and maybe I'll be better at jiu-jitsu.
Look, yes, congratulations to those coaches. Well done. Hit the music. We are good. We are about to be blessed by a light heavyweight fight. It's literally about to start. Mark Smith got him going. Modestas Bukauskas versus Zach Pauga. We'll have your coverage all night on MMAfighting.com. We'll have a post-fight show at the end of it. If you don't want to watch tonight, all good. We get you covered. AK, and I'll be back tomorrow. Thoughts to the next one. So thank you all very much. Casey, I'm Mike Heck. Enjoy the fights, everybody. Oh, damn!
All right, I guess better watch.